Singer says, there is a natural progression of getting quieter inside once we start to observe our thoughts and just become more observant and start to separate who is observing what's happening from what's happening. So that's been a major theme of this text so far. We are not what happens to us, but we are observing what happens to us. And we have a chance to choose how we respond to what happens to us. A quote that I like to show that speaks to that is this one. Nope, that's not that quote. This one. Between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And that is a quote from Viktor E. Frankl. And that just reminds me of, it helps for me to stay grounded in remembering that I am not my thoughts, I am not my experiences, but I am observing them. And I get to choose what happens. I get to choose what I do about what I observe. They're painting and I'm about to climb on my roof. Got to check for hail damage. Okay. Awesome. My friend's in Alaska and I'm in Oklahoma. Was there a severe weather event in Oklahoma? Sending you love, boo. And praying that all is well with you when you go and check up on that roof. I'm gonna look into that too and see if I missed any current event there. Okay. So there is a natural progression of getting quieter inside once you start to observe. But here's the thing. You have to start. You have to start somewhere in order to be able to notice this natural progression of things getting quieter. It doesn't happen overnight. Oh, it's tornado season. Okay, so that's just kind of like, okay, I get it. We were talking about that the other day. Tornadoes. Would you rather live in a place where there were tornadoes or earthquakes? Anyway, so it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like tomorrow. If this is your first engagement with this practice and you said, okay, May 9th, I am now going to be observing my thoughts. On May 9th, if it's your very first time, it's not going to just like be like that. It is a progression that you notice because you have committed to something intentionally, and with commitment comes consistency. So just normal spring, business as usual. I feel you. Well, enjoy your check. We'll be here for a little more, I don't know, Juice. Normal spring or natural spring? You be the judge. We'll be here for at least another 20 minutes, maybe. Okay. So there isn't precisely a milestone that could be measured in a linear way, or like a certain number of days that you need to be doing this in order for it to click in for you. You will know when you get there because you're going to feel it inside. You're going to feel it in the way that you notice and observe your own self begin to shift. Thank you so much for the lurk, Valamore Doran. We really appreciate you coming in with the raid and riding the train with us and vibing and sharing your energy with us. We appreciate you and look forward to more connection. All right. Our next key point is enlightenment is elusive. Isn't that crazy? He said that the concept of enlightenment is based on what we can conceive based on our limited experience and understanding, or something that we feel like is just too far away from us because it's just like mystical. You know what I'm saying? But it's not. It's not. One of the approaches, one of my daily affirmations that I say is I know everything and nothing at the same time, and that helps me to stay grounded in that. I don't even know how. It's more of an internal process. If you want to join me daily for soul care affirmations, please click that link. We we say our affirmations and we listen. It's a beautiful practice, but that's where the affirmation comes from. And so, yeah, that's how that helps me, because it's like, I'm not going to limit myself and say that I'm, like, okay, yes, I do have a limited experience, limited view as a human, but I know that when it comes to my being as pure consciousness, there are no limitations. So that's where that, like, nothing and everything at the same time comes from. And then he, most of this chapter was about this allegory of the house. So Singer takes us on this journey of illustrating what can happen if we choose to protect ourselves rather than observe and release. So that's really where he sets us up in the beginning of chapter 12. So then, here is how I interpret the house, okay? The open field represents who you really are, okay? So let's go back to that allegory. The open field is who we really are, which is freedom, love, abundant, brilliant light. And all that's needed is already there. It's already ready for us, and we're already open for experience. That's the open field, okay? Then the house represents the structure of your personality that you built to be in the world. And this is what you call, and this is what I call me. This is what you call you. Okay? That's what the house is. So let's review. Open field, that's who we really are. But then because we live in a society, we build this structure around who we are. And we call that our personality. Now, how many of us in the listening live or later on have ever examined personality from an astrological perspective, like using astrology and the zodiac? If you've ever said, I'm a Taurus, sun sign. If you ever named your sun sign, I am a Taurus. That's why I had this on. My solar return was last week. Excuse me. If you ever talked about your sun sign, then you actually did start that process of examining your personality from an astrological perspective. But because the sun is what represents personality. But did you take it further to examine what the energy of that sun sign is? Because that can give you key insights into your personality from an astrological perspective, because the sun, the brilliance of the sun, symbolically represents the personality in the astrological perspective. So when you are talking about your sign, we're not just our sun sign. We have a lot of energy from the zodiac perspective, but most people just focus on, I ain't gonna say most people, mainstream focuses on just the sun sign, the sign that the sun was in on the day of your birth. The sun was in Taurus when I was born. So I could look at the energy of Taurus to get more key insights about my personality. Not necessarily my emotions. Of course, that's included into it, but emotions and thought processes and love, how we approach work and things are expressed in other areas of the astrological chart. We create harmony within when we are aware of all of those things and are able to acknowledge them and learn how to use them. And I think having that level of self-awareness supports us busting through the walls. And then I think the companion, remember in the house there was also like a person who was quiet, and like a butler or something. I think that companion may be the part of you that we retain, but we tend to ignore. And some people may have heard this termed as the shadow self. The house becomes what protects you from you in order to feel safe in the world. So like when I say that the house is protecting me from me, not because I'm protecting myself, but because if something happens outside of me that causes uncomfortable feelings to come up that I don't want to feel, I am protecting myself from that, from my own energy rising back up that I haven't dealt with before. If anything that I'm saying feels like strange or like confusing, remember that we are on chapter 12, so it may make a lot more sense if you go back and listen from chapter 1. You can do that by joining me on Patreon and also on YouTube. I'm going to put command CGL in the chat. My link tree is there. So if you click the link tree, you can join me on YouTube where the read alouds and discussions are available on my page. And if you join me on Patreon, you can subscribe and get just the read aloud by itself, and then a separate link to the discussion if you so choose to go back and listen to that. I put you in quotation marks here also because remember, we're building up a structure to be safe in the world, but that may not be the most accurate representation of who we are. It sometimes is a mask that we have to put on to be safe, to be in the world, to go to work. Like, I used to put a mask on my hair when I worked at the charter school. And, okay, Juice, thank you for lurking. And in other places before that, I used to wear like Brazilian weave bundles that are nothing like my natural hair because it felt safer inside of my body. I didn't feel as nervous to go to work in the charter school network that I worked for was run by predominantly white people, even though we served students and families in a predominantly black neighborhood. It is a white organization, and I would feel like it wasn't just because I was feeling it, but there were things that were said about like, having our natural hair out. And so I used to mask my hair. So is that an accurate representation of who I am? No. But I was doing something different. I was creating a structure around myself that would allow me to be out in the world and be okay. All right. So was I known for a time in my life for being the bundle girl who always had the fresh bundles, weave was laced all the time? Yes, I was known as that for some time. Is that accurately who I really am? No. Do my hair look like that, y'all? Like, let's be for real. Like, for real. Okay? No. This idea of the personality not being an accurate representation of yourself also comes up in the myth of normal. I'm reading a lot of books that have a lot of coinciding themes. So protecting ourselves from ourselves emotionally. Also, families, this is important. This is important. Write this down. Protecting ourselves emotionally from ourselves is also how autoimmune conditions arise. Okay? It's a physical manifestation of the body protecting itself against itself. And chapter 5 in this book right here, The Myth of Normal, talks in depth about that, especially when it comes to women and certain diseases like breast cancer. Not saying that we do it to ourselves, but saying that when we are not processing our emotional energy, it can manifest in a physical way. That's what that's saying. Okay, let's keep going. We have a little bit more to go. Okay, the protection becomes limiting and a detriment to living the fullest expression of you. That protective structure that's built up first gets impossible to upkeep because we're organic, ever growing, ever changing, always evolving beings. So they're going to eventually wear out because we're going to grow out of them. That was illustrated in the example of how the light bulbs began to eventually burn out in the home because the structure of the home was no longer enough to sustain them. Going outside the house is another way of saying go within, get back to you. So I know it's like, it might feel counterintuitive because in the book he says go outside, but what he's inviting us to remember to do is to go back within to those places inside of ourselves that seem to be dark. Because what if it's not actually darkness, but it's actually walls we've built up that is blocking our own light? So go back inside and get that light. Hold on. I know. I know. I know. You playing. Sorry, y'all. See, everybody is so excited about this prompt, and I'm like, I don't have time for that. You do what you do it. I gotta be there. Okay. Um, and no, I'm not bringing that. You bring that. All right. Go to the temple. Yes, Juice. That's another one that they might tell you to go do. Go outside, but go find it in the temple. Go find it in the church. I'm not here to talk about that, or I'm not saying that there's no benefit in church, but I'm saying that it is in here. It is in your heart. And that's what we're getting back to. On page 116, that's that quote that I was just speaking about. What we call darkness is really the blockage of light. I didn't even want to paraphrase that into my own words, yo. I just wanted to give that quote exactly what it was. When you rediscover the outside, you realize what you've been missing, and it has always been there the whole time, and it has been you. Take this allegory of the house and going inside to be safe, which is natural, logical, left brain thinking that we're conditioned to, no shade, and flip it into going back inside to represent going back within the self. I'm telling you. And then that's when you're going to start to do experience what he was saying in the beginning, that gradual quieting down of the thoughts inside and how they impact us. Now, why is this thing, y'all, not letting me click right? Come on. I'm trying to get to the discussion questions, back to them, okay? So now that we are here at the discussion questions. So tell me, what is coming up for you? What do you think about the allegory of the house? Can you identify an aspect of your personality that you adapted to feel safe to be that you no longer need? And are you showing up as your full self in all scenarios? Okay, those are our questions for today, family. And I'll share again a little bit. I did talk about how one aspect of the personality was being known as the bundle girl, which was not me, right? Another thing I would say, like growing up in Philly, which is like a very, it's kind of aggressive here. I ain't gonna say kind of, it's aggressive in Philly. And I'm naturally, like my nature, the nature of Joy's personality is not a super aggressive person. I don't have a resting bitch face. Like, you know what I'm saying? But growing up here, I definitely developed those things because it made me feel safer to be out in the world and no one would try me. You know, I'm small, I'm short, I'm quiet by nature. That's a target for bullying where I come from. So I did adopt a harder exterior in order to feel like I could be safe in the world. And that brought, like, that kept me a lot in like deep, that kept me like in the more masculine expressions of myself. You know what I'm saying? Where like, I don't feel like I need that as much anymore. And when I say masculine, I don't mean manly. I'm not speaking about men and women in terms of gender. When I say masculine or feminine, I'm speaking about energetic principle. And so the masculine energetic principle of working, providing, going, doing, like the opposite of receiving. Okay, you pick up what I'm putting down, right? So I don't need to be in that place of my energy anymore. I do need to be more in the receiving mode, and more in the feminine phase. I need and not so in order to blend them, in order to create harmony and balance within myself with both energies. Okay, no duality. And then so those are our questions, family, and that was my little a little of my, I guess, insight takeaway. I'll check and see if anyone put anything in the Padlet, but if you didn't, then that is all well and good in the hood. I know y'all be shy. I know y'all know y'all be shy, and y'all be liking to be inside the Padlet. But if y'all put something in here, we want to show it on the screen. But thank you so much for being here. If you got any value from today's reading or discussion, you know what to do. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we're definitely going to see you next time. Peace.